what they're trying to do is fold this into the feminist rhetoric. But the thing is, the feminist rhetoric, I mean, it wasn't really very strong to begin with. And as you've shown, the data just does not support it. And so what are we doing? So it begins with this activist organization called Reclaim the Streets. Now, this sprung out of nowhere. As you can see, their Twitter account was started in March. So this is obviously started in response to this. It's already got 33,000 followers. And it seems to have been founded by Labour activists. One of the founders of this organization is someone called Hennah Shah, who describes herself as London's Young Labour, founding organiser of charity So White, All My Terrible Opinions My Own, and she retweets people like Dr. Shola and David Lammy.
She's followed by Sadiq Khan.
So, radical left-wing Labour organisation. That's what we're looking at. It's, as you saw, raised $500,000 because they want to channel their collective grief, outrage, and sadness in our community over the events of the past week. Okay, I guess.
I just don't know what that means. Like, maybe I'm just male or something. I don't get it.
It means the same thing as honouring the sacrament of Jesus Christ. Right. It's a religious sort of doctrine that you're looking at. It's not about any one particular thing. It's about general sentiment. But of course they got this cancelled, as you said, and so they say that they're going to donate the money to women's causes around the country instead. And if there's one thing we've learned about socialist activists, is they're not corrupt at all, and we can guarantee all of this money is going to go to exactly the places where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, I mean the millions and millions of dollars that were given to Black Lives Matter that ended up with Democrat organizations. What that was what the money was for, was it? No, of course it wasn't. And I have no trust that these people will do the right thing. No, I mean, the right thing to do here is to just reject the money because you didn't get fined, or to give it to the family.
Yeah.
That would be the honourable thing to do.
Yeah. But no, it'll go to women's causes, whatever that's supposed to mean. And of course, there'll be no accountability for any of this. So who was the woman who was arrested? I find this person interesting. This was one Patsy Stevenson. She was one of 4 people who were held by the police. This is the lady in the viral photo. She said she went down to the gathering to, quote, support every single woman who cannot walk down the street by themselves because of fear of men. Now, that's not to say that the streets are especially dangerous for women, as we've seen. They're not. But it's speaking from a sort of more egocentric position, as in they can't walk down the street because of the fear of men. It's like, okay. But then, I mean, why single that out to women? Because if it's late at night, I don't particularly want to go walking down the streets because of a fear of men. And it's true. It could be a bunch of guys that I'm afraid of, and it's not because they're men, but it would be men I would be worried about.
The fear of death.
Yeah, exactly, because it's more about the fear of death, and the fear of being beaten up and being robbed and murdered, right? So I'm actually kind of sympathetic to the I don't want to walk around alone at night in a city. Well, who the hell does? Anyway. So she's a part-time model and actress, and apparently she's a student at 28. And people have been saying that she's a crisis actor, and I think that's probably too strong. I don't think that's the case, because I watched a few interviews with her, and she just seems like a radical left-wing activist, like this insane men are evil sort of type of activist. Let's play the clip.
I came here to support any woman, whether it be cis woman or trans woman, every single woman who cannot walk down the street by themselves because of the fear of men. And it's not all men, we know that, that's not what we're saying, but there does need to be a change where women have freedom to live their lives in peace without fear.
Women need the freedom to live their lives in peace without fear, Callum.
I just want to ask her about the, I must say, woman who was sent to the female prisons and then raped the inmates with her penis. I'd love to know what she has to say about that.
I don't think she has anything at all to say about that. You're a bigot and you're blocked.
Yeah.
But the point is, she's acting as if women are living in a state of tyranny, which is interesting because I would say that women have freedom. But the thing is, it seems that she's kind of saying that actually freedom is scary to women, and maybe we should return to the strong arms of the patriarchy. Maybe it should be that women should have a male chaperone when they're walking around. I mean, that would be one way of easing their fears of wandering around at night. Do you not think?
How progressive.
How progressive. Anyway, she got arrested and fined and then was just released. She wasn't injured, obviously. And so what great martyrdom has she gone through? But the viral photos look good. It looked like police brutality, even though it wasn't, obviously. As you can see by the lack of injury to her.
And I mean, Discordia pointing out here, we can scroll down a little bit. Like, this is the protest about lockdowns.
Yeah, if you can scroll down a little bit, John.
People being dragged away here.
Well, no, there was an old lady who was thrown to the ground by the cops.
Yeah, she got up on a chair, and then they pushed her, and the chair fell down.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even think that's necessarily brutality. I mean, go to Russia if you want to see brutality.
Yeah.
But this is just arrests. This is policing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the picture of the cop in Belarus next to the body.
Yeah.
Springs to mind, you know. But yeah, so I think that this is definitely stretching the definition of police brutality. And the thing is, in that little interview, Patsy seemed very eager to get out and do more protests. She's like, what should we do? Well, more protests. Well, right now, tomorrow, all day, every day. So
Until what?
Yeah, until murder of women's made illegal, I guess. But anyway, so Sadiq Khan, of course, denounced this because this looks bad. The scenes from Clapham Common are unacceptable. The police have a responsibility to enforce COVID laws, but from the images I've seen, it's clear the response was at times neither appropriate nor proportionate. I'm in contact with the commissioner and urgently seeking an explanation. Well, the explanation, obviously, Sadiq, is that you wanted the COVID laws and you wanted them enforced, and to enforce them when people say we won't cooperate requires physical force. You're going to have to move them and then find them. And so it seems like Cressida Dick did nothing wrong.
Sounds like you're about to start quoting Radcheck there.
Well, pretty much,
Yeah.
actually. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if you want people to abide by your rules and they refuse to, you've only got one option, don't you, Sadiq? Anyway, so Cressida Dick, there were many, many people calling for her head to roll, metaphorically, that she should resign, and she has refused, which I find interesting. It seems that Priti Patel and Boris Johnson are on her side, which, good, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for people who may be aware, like, Cressida Dick is a very woke leader of the Met, but it's also kind of like, well, if they get rid of her, who they're replacing her with?
Well,
another woke idiot.
Someone even more woke, presumably. But anyway, so Boris said he was deeply concerned about this, but we'll get to what Boris did or didn't do. But anyway, so the BBC inform us that under the current lockdown rules, 2 people can meet for recreation outside or for coffee on a bench. And people will be allowed to meet outdoors with the rule of 6 from the 29th of March. And until then, there'll be fines of £10,000 to someone holding gatherings of 30 or more people. So these people should have had £10,000 fines like Piers Corbyn got. Didn't happen though, did it? This would be because the police of diversity and tolerance are very, very woke and very progressive. As you said, Cressida Dick being a woke lesbian commissioner, she's very much part of the and endorsing of the LGBT style of policing. And so when you had in 2020 the Black Lives Matter protest, the police, instead of breaking the protest up because it's endangering lives, instead took a knee, which is nice. They didn't take a knee when it came to the football lads, the supporters of Lord Voldemort and the anti-lockdown.
They've never taken a knee at a protest about grooming gangs.
Nope, they don't care about that at all. But they do when someone dies in another continent. Weird. Anyway, so yes, you had the same sort of thing with the Black Lives Matter protests. I mean, if you want to talk about like police violence, having 41 arrests with 22 injured officers, maybe that would be a topic of discussion, but of course this falls under the rubric of wokeness, so we don't talk about that. And but yeah, so Sadiq Khan not happy about all of this, and so he summoned Cressida Dick and her deputy to the City Hall and said, I'm not satisfied with the explanation they have provided. But what could their explanation have been otherwise? He's demanding a full independent investigation. It is vital that the events are not allowed to undermine the powerful calls since Sarah's murder for meaningful action to finally stop men inflicting violence on women. Just how can that happen, Sadiq? We call for men to stop inflicting violence on women.
I mean, this is like the Labour government saying, what did they say? It was, we've criminalised child poverty.
Yes.
Good. Done.
Glad we abolished it.
Yeah.
Don't know why you don't just abolish violence.
That simple.
Yeah, that simple. So anyway, in a now deleted tweet, the Fire Brigade Union, which I'm guessing is controlled by radical leftists, considering it's being followed by like BAME Labour and other people, denounced the violence by the police. We utterly condemn the violence meted out by the Metropolitan Police last night on Clapham Common. And it sounds like they were just truncheoning these women into submission, right? Which obviously they weren't, because we saw the video of it. These grotesque displays have no place in our society. Calm the hell down. Just stop. And, of course, in response to this, you had other radical leftists promoting more protests. This is Comrade Ash Sarkar, the literal communist, saying women are taking their grief to the doorstep of the Met Police. Today, New Scotland Yard, 4 p.m. Okay. And so outside Scotland Yard, hundreds of protesters have chanted "Shame on you" as police officers stood guard at New Scotland Yard before marching to Parliament Square. So good. Go after them. Go after the police of tolerance and diversity. Not a right winger in sight at this point. This is why Boris should just zip it. Just zip it. Do not say a goddamn thing. Don't do anything. Don't say anything. Not your problem. Not your business. So anyway, yes, this was Sisters Uncut, who forced the officers to erect barriers around the Metropolitan Police headquarters, and the group of demonstrators spilled over into the road next to the Thames. Again, COVID rules, £10,000 fines. Anything to do there? No, never mind. The group tweeted, "Police are perpetrators of individual and state violence against women, as evidenced last night." As if the capture and murder, the kidnapping and murder of Sarah Everard was part of state-approved operations. It's fucking ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Like, what is the narrative here? Like, this is worse than the arguments about George Floyd.
Yep.
Like, this is brain-meltingly stupid.
Way worse. I mean, of all the most privileged people in society, white women, middle-class white women, are the very, very top when it comes to being handled gently by the police. There's just no question. Any other demographic, any other gender gets it way worse from the cops than white middle-class women. But police are the perpetrators of state violence against women, as evidenced last night. Police abuse the powers they already have, yet the government plans to give them more powers in the police crackdown bill. We must resist this. Hello, comrade. Yes, we need to stop this bill. That would be good. Banners in the crowd said, "Men, your silence is deafening." Well, I guess it is. I mean, where are the men's advocacy groups? Oh, that's right. They were shut down for being sexist and misogynistic. Like, where are the MRAs? Surely there would be some sort of men's advocates who would come out and say, yes, we men are very much against violence against women, but unfortunately you've silenced them.
I mean, shock.
Yeah, shock horror. But there's no one speaking out. So men are just silent on the issue. Cressida, you're a woman too. Sisters United will never be defeated. Time's up, Pretty. End state violence and, of course, abolish the police.
Oh, what happened to Sisters United with Pretty?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe they're racists.
Yeah.
She's brown. They're not. I mean, maybe there's a thing. But anyway, yeah. So a petition got dragged up from the depths of the internet. This petition was 2 years old, and as you can see, the signed things ticking along. People have decided, we're going to start signing this to make public sexual harassment a criminal offence in the UK.
All right. How do they define this?
Well, they define it as wolf whistling.
Yeah, of course they do.
Public sexual harassment is a very, very strong sounding term that can be reduced to wolf whistling, and they want it illegal. It's illegal in Italy, which doesn't surprise me, frankly.
I mean, I'm not in favour of wolf whistling.
No,
wolf whistling. Like, it's cringe, yeah, but a crime? Really? Like, you can't survive a wolf whistle? I don't know. I mean, turn around and tell him he's a load of words that I can't say on the podcast.
I look forward to them going further, frankly, and making merely looking at a woman illegal. Men will have to wear blinkers, possibly, going around on the streets like horses. That is assuming they're not out after their curfew.
Yeah. Although you were arguing maybe a curfew would be a good thing.
I think it'd be a great thing.
Because then you could just be like, sorry, love.
Yeah.
Can't go out shopping. It's too
exactly. My wife's like, can you go down the shops and get something? Nope. No, I can't. Because, I've got no particular desire to leave the house after 6 p.m. anyway. By that point, I'm already in my pajamas and my slippers. Anyway, Jess Phillips has demanded change, saying that apparently women don't matter as much as cars, which was based. Well,
obvious BS.
Yeah, obvious nonsense. And it's just, again, everything. I've watched a bunch of her clips, and everything that she says, she's got a kind of half smile on, because again, she knows that all of this is kind of fictional. Like, I mean, you can see her even in the picture there. She's barely struggling to contain a grin. This is all like, oh, women are so oppressed. Women aren't valued. It's like, ha ha ha. It's like, that's not true. You can barely suppress the grin, the liar's smile that is coming out from all of this. You are duping people, and everyone can see it.
Good phrase. The liar's smile.
It is. It's true. It's, when someone thinks they're getting away with a lie, and in this in public, millions of people are watching this, and she knows that millions of people she's lying directly to them. She's making up a fictional scenario, and they've all got to buy it, or else be misogynists. So that gives her tremendous power. That must be a hell of a rush for her to enjoy. And you can say that she is. But anyway, so let's have a look at that radical left-wing propaganda that you brought up earlier, because I find this really interesting, right? The police can claim to protect women, but continually enable violence against us. The police enable violence against women. It's the next one, please, John. It's so sane. It's just so sane. The institution of policing was founded on violence and coercion.
Yes.
Yes.
Otherwise, how else would they police?
Yeah, exactly. It was deliberate, in fact. In fact, the sort of people who would murder women should have violence done to them if they're in the act.
No. They have an opinion here that it should be voluntary. The police should come and go, would you kindly stop murdering people?
Well, sorry. I'm not going to do that. Well, if only we could do something. But as they say, violence begets violence. If we're violent to him, then someone else is going to be violent to someone else, and we can't do a thing. Abuse was enacted by police in the streets and on the borders, finds its way into our homes.
What?
I guess the police are kicking in the doors of women and abusing them in their own homes. I don't know.
The borders?
Are
they saying they're deporting them? Like, sorry, what?
You tell me. Institutional police mistreatment of survivors who report violence and abuse leaves abusers free to enact violence against us and prevents us from reporting the abuse we experience.
Well, that's somewhat true.
Is it?
I have seen, remember the grooming gang case, and what was it? I can't remember the town. But like they got the groomer, they put him in jail, he got out early, and then he ran into his victims in Asda.
Yeah.
It was like, well...
I don't think that's what they're referring to, though.
No.
But, I mean, that's not technically wrong. You are correct. Police culture allows officers who are perpetrators of violence to feel invincible and the survivors of their violence invisible.
What? They've charged him?
Yeah. Don't know what to tell you. I mean, maybe when they're like, yeah, well, we were gonna charge him, but he was a cop. So
like, the world they live in, what's actually happened here is the police have been like, yeah, I would charge him, but he's a buddy, so he's off scot-free.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not happened. They've charged him with murder and kidnap.
This isn't Saddam Hussein's state or anything. Like, Christ's sake. Sarah Everard is not the first woman to lose her life to state violence.
Okay.
Boris, why is your policy of the Conservative government state violence against women? Just out of interest. Anyway, moving on from the psychotic pamphlets they were putting out, here's the next one, which the anti-police placards, abolish the police, pigs don't keep us safe. It's like, really, who would you call if you were being attacked in the street, if not the police?
The Antifa death squads, I assume.
I guess so, or the counsellors and psychotherapists and things that they're presumably going to get to do them. But we saw the next clip, so we'll skip that. The F the police, F Priti Patel. As you can see, it's just stock left-wing activism at this point. But this, of course, was described as fascism. Next one, please. Next one, please. There we go. Britain is showing the world how nationalism implodes into fascism, with these women being arrested for breaking the COVID rules. What? Nationalism implodes into fascism.
So we left the EU, and now we're just like, get the women in the camps.
In London.
Really?
Nationalistic UKIP voting London has imploded into fascism. Total nonsense. These people are not serious. It's exactly the kind of people you're expecting to be arrested, though, as you can see this next photo. And honestly, if we can go to the next photo, John, there's kind of a magic to this. Okay. Some green and red haired, dyed head, like early to mid 30s millennial student activist who's done nothing with her life, getting arrested by the cops. She's almost smiling. This is almost exactly what she wanted. If they could only put a boot in her face, maybe she'd be a little bit happier. Just saying.
Every fucking time.
Every time. But it's such a trope. It's such a trope of the kind of people who are being arrested. It's like, you're not being oppressed. You're just a lunatic. And, of course, there was another murder a woman who was murdered, but this one went under the radar. If we can go to the final article in this segment. Not this one, sorry. Yeah, so this woman was murdered by an Iraqi refugee, apparently. Where was the energy?
Not of importance.
Not of importance. This was on the 2nd of March. Mutilated by an Iraqi refugee.
There is the fair point here that this case is unique, that a cop killed the victim. But as I mentioned, there was actually one last year as well, in which the cop strangled his victim to death, who was a woman. And again, no care. I mean,
just for some reason, this one got all the attention. But again, it's sort of similar circumstances. You know, woman goes missing. Happens to be mutilated by a refugee. But I guess we don't talk about that one because political correctness. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.